Hey everyone, tonight we journey into the deepest mysteries of the galaxy, where ancient wisdom meets cosmic secrets that have been hidden for 900 years. The remarkable life and incredible knowledge of Master Yoda, the legendary Jedi whose true story goes far beyond what the galaxy has ever known. From his earliest days as a young student to his final teachings on a remote swamp world, his tale is one of profound wisdom, terrible burden, and the ultimate sacrifice of carrying knowledge that could reshape the very understanding of the Force itself. So before you settle in, take a moment to like this video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy the stories I bring to you. And here's something that might surprise you. Over 90% of the people who watch these videos regularly haven't subscribed yet. So if you're one of those loyal listeners, hitting that subscribe button would truly help this channel grow and bring you more epic tales from across the galaxy. Also, if you're drawn to the intricate political webs and ancient prophecies of Game of Thrones, then you'll definitely want to check out my new channel, The Raven's Tales, where I dive deep into the mysteries of Westeros and beyond. You'll find the link waiting in the description below. I'd love to hear from you in the comments about where you're listening from tonight and what time it is in your corner of the world. There's something magical about knowing we're all connected across different time zones, sharing these ancient stories together under the same stars. Now, get comfortable, maybe adjust your room temperature, and let's drift into tonight's journey together. Long ago, in the mists of time, when the galaxy was young and the Force flowed pure through uncharted worlds, there lived a being whose very name would become legend. But this is not the story the Jedi Archives tell. This is not the tale spoken in the halls of the temple. This is the hidden chronicle, the secret history that Master Yoda carried alone for 9 centuries, a burden so profound that it drove him to the remotest corner of the galaxy, where he would wait in exile until the very fabric of destiny itself called him to reveal one final truth. In the deepest chambers beneath the swamps of Dagobah, where twisted roots drink from waters older than memory, ancient holocrons still whisper of a darkness that came before the Sith, before the Republic, before the very concept of Jedi and their codes. And in those whispers, one name echoes through the ages, spoken with reverence and fear in equal measure. But why did the greatest Jedi Master of all time choose exile over glory? What terrible knowledge did he carry that made him turn away from the galaxy he had sworn to protect? What ancient secret burned so deeply in his heart that he could trust it to no living soul? The answers lie waiting in the mist, where wisdom and shadow dance eternal, and where the true story of Master Yoda is finally ready to be told. In the time between the fall of the Empire's greatest weapon and the final confrontation that would decide the fate of the galaxy, when Luke Skywalker had departed from the swamp world carrying new hope in his heart, Dagobah settled once more into its ancient rhythms. The mists rolled thick across the murky waters, and the twisted trees whispered secrets in languages forgotten by the civilized worlds. It was then that you arrived, drawn by visions that had haunted your dreams for months, visions of a small green figure sitting in meditation beside waters that reflected not the present, but echoes of times long past. You are a seeker of truths, a student of the Force whose sensitivity to its currents has led you down paths that few dare to walk. Not a Jedi, for the Order lies in ruins, nor a Sith, for their ways lead only to destruction, but something rarer still, a chronicler of forgotten wisdom, one who can sense the weight of history in the very stones beneath your feet. Your ship, a modest vessel built for long journeys rather than combat, settles into the marshy ground with a soft hiss of repulsors, disturbing a family of swamp rats that scatter into the undergrowth with chittering complaints. The air of Dagobah embraces you like a living thing, thick with moisture and teeming with the essence of life itself. Every breath fills your lungs with the rich, earthy scent of decomposition and rebirth, the eternal cycle that governs this world where death feeds life and life feeds death in an endless dance of renewal. The Force flows here with a purity you have never encountered, not the structured, disciplined current taught in the temples of old, but something wilder, more ancient, more true to its fundamental nature. As you step from your ship, your boots sink slightly into the soft ground, and immediately you sense that this place holds memories deeper than oceans. The trees themselves seem to lean in, their gnarled branches reaching like arthritic fingers towards secrets buried in the mist. Strange sounds echo from the depths of the swamp, not threatening, but curious, as if the very wildlife of this world has learned to recognize those who come seeking wisdom rather than conquest. Your first companion reveals itself not as a living being, but as a shimmer of blue light that coalesces near a fallen log thick with luminescent moss. The holocron guardian materializes slowly, its ancient robes flowing like water, its face bearing the serene expression of one who has meditated upon the mysteries of existence for countless centuries. This is Keeper Valdris, last of the archivists who once tended the great libraries of the Jedi Temple, his consciousness preserved in crystalline memory long after his physical form returned to the Force. "Welcome, young seeker," Valdris speaks, his voice carrying the weight of eons, though young is perhaps not the proper word for one who has already walked so many paths in search of understanding. "You have come because the visions called to you, have you not? The dreams of a small figure whose wisdom spans the centuries, whose knowledge encompasses secrets that predate the very foundations of the Republic itself." The Guardian's form flickers as he gestures toward the deeper reaches of the swamp, where massive trees rise like cathedral spires from the murky water, their roots forming natural bridges and walkways that seem to beckon the curious deeper into the green twilight. Master Yoda chose this place not for its isolation alone, but for its connection to the living Force, the pure essence that flows through all things unfiltered by the constructs of civilization. Here, in this primordial sanctuary, he could commune with truths that the galaxy has forgotten, truths that he alone among all living beings was strong enough to bear. As you follow Valdris deeper into the swamp, the normal sounds of the galaxy fade away, replaced by the gentle splash of water against root and stone, the soft whisper of wind through leaves that have witnessed the rise and fall of empires, the distant call of creatures that have learned to live in harmony with the Force itself. The path, if it can be called such, winds between towering trees, whose trunks are so massive that entire ecosystems flourish in their bark. Tiny gardens of moss and lichen that glow with their own inner light. "There are others," Valdris continues, his form becoming more solid as you move deeper into the realm where the barriers between physical and spiritual grow thin, other keepers of memory who have waited long for one such as you to arrive. The knowledge that Master Yoda carried was too vast, too dangerous for any single mind to contain, so he shared fragments of it with those he trusted, spirits of ancient Jedi, who chose to remain bound to this place rather than pass into the cosmic Force, guardians of secrets that must not be lost to time. The mist swirls around you both, and in its patterns you begin to see hints of shapes that might be structures, the suggestion of pathways that lead to places where the very air thrums with accumulated wisdom. Somewhere in the distance, barely audible above the sounds of the swamp, you hear the echo of a voice, ancient and patient, speaking words in a language that predates galactic civilization, words that seem to resonate in your bones and call to something deep within your soul. The journey into Master Yoda's hidden truth has begun. The deeper you venture into the heart of Dagobah, the more the boundary between what is real and what is memory begins to blur. Valdris leads you along paths that seem to shift and change with each step, as if the swamp itself is alive and breathing, rearranging its secrets to reveal them only to those deemed worthy. The air grows thicker here, not just with moisture, but with the accumulated weight of centuries, the residual echoes of meditations so profound, they have left permanent impressions upon the very fabric of space and time. The quest you have accepted. Valdris speaks as you walk, his translucent form, moving with the grace of one who no longer requires physical effort, is not merely to uncover facts about Master Yoda's past, but to understand the burden he carried and why he chose to bear it alone. Knowledge, young seeker, is not always a blessing. Sometimes it is a curse that grows heavier with each passing year, each decision that must be made in light of truths too terrible for others to comprehend. The trees around you grow more ancient as you progress, their trunks so massive that whole communities of smaller plants and creatures have made their homes in the crevices of their bark. Some of these trees bear scars that seem impossibly old, deep grooves and burn marks that speak of battles fought when the galaxy was young, when the very concepts of light and dark were still being defined by those who could touch the Force. You reach out with your senses, feeling the lingering vibrations of conflicts that predate recorded history, battles between forces so fundamental that their echoes still ripple through the living energy that permeates this place. As you follow a winding path that seems to lead toward the center of the swamp, you begin to notice structures emerging from the mist, not built by any civilization you recognize, but grown from the swamp itself. Walls of living root and stone that pulse with their own inner light, archways formed by the intertwining of branches that have grown together over countless centuries, doorways that seem to open onto spaces larger than the structures that contain them. This is no ordinary architecture, but something born from the marriage of organic growth and force manipulation, shaped by will and intention over spans of time that dwarf the existence of entire species. Behold, Valdris gestures toward the largest of these structures, a towering spire of twisted wood and crystalline deposits that reaches up into the canopy above, the Archive of Echoes, where Master Yoda stored not just records and holocrons, but the very essence of experiences, moments of crucial importance preserved in their entirety, so that future generations might learn from them. But these are not mere recordings. Seeker, they are living memories, fragments of time itself captured and held in crystal matrices that respond to the presence of those who possess the sensitivity to perceive them. The entrance to the archive stands before you, a circular opening in the base of the great tree that pulses with a soft, rhythmic light like the beating of some cosmic heart. As you approach, you feel the force flowing through you with increasing intensity, not the gentle current you have grown accustomed to, but something deeper, more primal, as if you are touching the very source from which all force energy springs. The threshold itself seems to shimmer with possibility, and for a moment you hesitate, understanding instinctively that to cross this boundary is to accept a responsibility that will change you forever. The first record, Valdris explains, his voice taking on a tone of reverence, dates back nearly 900 years to the time when Master Yoda was still a young student, eager to learn the ways of the Force and innocent of the terrible knowledge that would one day be his burden to bear. But even then, even in his youth, there were signs that he was different, that his connection to the Force ran deeper than that of his peers, that he possessed an understanding that transcended the teachings of his masters. You step through the threshold, and immediately the world around you expands beyond the physical limitations of the tree. The interior of the archive exists in a space that defies geometry. Vast chambers filled with floating crystals that contain the essence of memories, each one glowing with its own particular hue, some warm and golden like summer sunlight, others deep and blue like the depths of space, and still others that seem to contain colors for which no names exist. The very air hums with accumulated knowledge, and you can feel the presence of countless experiences waiting to be explored. Moving deeper into the archive, you discover the first of the great mysteries that have drawn you here. In the center of the vast chamber, suspended in a matrix of pure force energy, hangs a crystal larger than any of the others, its surface scarred and fractured, its light flickering with an irregular rhythm that suggests some profound disturbance in the memory it contains. This is the first of the ancient records, the beginning of the story that would span 9 centuries and reshape the understanding of what it means to be a guardian of peace and justice in the galaxy. This memory. YODA'S speaks softly, his form becoming more translucent as he approaches the damaged crystal, contains the record of the moment when Master Yoda first encountered the darkness that would define his life. Not the darkness of the Sith, not the corruption of the Empire, but something older, more fundamental, a shadow that existed before the first Jedi ever ignited a lightsaber or spoke the words of their ancient code. As you reach out to touch the crystal, visions begin to flood your mind. You see a young Yoda, his ears not yet drooped with age, his eyes bright with curiosity and hope, standing before a council of beings whose faces are obscured by the mists of time. They are speaking in hushed tones about something called the first prophecy, a prediction that speaks of a darkness that will rise from the very heart of the Force itself, a corruption so profound that it will challenge the fundamental nature of existence. The visions continue, showing you glimpses of ancient worlds where the Force flowed pure and untainted, where beings of incredible power worked in harmony to maintain the balance between creation and destruction, growth and decay, life and death. But even in these idyllic scenes, you can sense the presence of something waiting, something that watches from the spaces between the stars, patient and implacable, biding its time until the moment is right to reveal itself. The young Yoda, YODA'S continues, his voice now barely above a whisper, was chosen not for his strength in the Force, though that was considerable, but for his ability to perceive truths that others could not see, to understand connections that remained hidden to even the wisest of his teachers. He was selected to be the guardian of secrets, the keeper of knowledge that could not be allowed to fall into the wrong hands, and from that moment forward, his path was set upon a course that would lead him far from the simple life of a Jedi Knight. The crystal's light begins to stabilize as you maintain contact with it, and more visions flow through your consciousness. You see Yoda as a young Padawan, training under masters whose names have been lost to history, learning techniques that would later be forbidden, exploring aspects of the Force that the modern Jedi Order would consider dangerous. But in these ancient times, such knowledge was considered essential, for the guardians of that age understood that to protect the galaxy from darkness, one must first understand the nature of that darkness. The final vision from the crystal shows Yoda standing alone in a vast chamber filled with artifacts of incredible power, objects that seem to pulse with their own malevolent life. He is older now, no longer the eager student, but not yet the ancient master known to later generations. In his hands he holds a holocron unlike any other, its surface black as the void between stars, its interior filled with swirling patterns that hurt to look upon directly. This is the holocron of first knowledge, the repository of secrets that predate the Republic, the Empire, and even the earliest Jedi teachings. And so began the long vigil, YODA'S says, as the visions fade, and the crystal's light dims to a gentle glow, the 900-year journey that would take Master Yoda from the bright halls of the ancient Jedi temples to the murky depths of Dagobah, carrying with him knowledge that grew heavier with each passing year, each decision that had to be made in light of truths too terrible for others to comprehend. The question that has brought you here, Seeker, is not simply what did Yoda know, but why did he choose to bear that knowledge alone, and what did he fear would happen if others learned the truth about the Force itself? As you step back from the crystal, you feel the weight of what you have seen settling upon your shoulders like a mantle of responsibility. The journey you have begun is not just one of discovery, but of understanding, and you sense that the truths you will uncover will challenge everything you thought you knew about the nature of good and evil, light and dark, and the eternal struggle that defines the fate of all living things. The archive around you pulses with the presence of countless other memories, each one a piece of the vast puzzle that is Master Yoda's hidden truth. But already you can feel that some of these memories are incomplete, that crucial pieces of the story have been deliberately hidden or protected by safeguards that will require great wisdom and patience to overcome. The path ahead is long and uncertain, but the force flows strong in this place, and you know that the answers you seek are here, waiting to be discovered by one who has the courage to face them. The Archive of Echoes reveals its secrets slowly, like a flower opening its petals to the morning sun. Each step deeper into its crystalline chambers brings new wonders and new mysteries, as if the very structure of the place is designed to test your resolve and measure your worthiness to receive the knowledge it contains. The walls themselves seem to pulse with accumulated wisdom, their surfaces covered in symbols and pictographs that shift and change as you watch, revealing different meanings to different observers depending on their level of understanding and their connection to the Force. YODA'S guides you through corridors that seem to extend infinitely in all directions, yet somehow always lead to exactly where you need to be. The floor beneath your feet is not wood or stone, but something that feels alive, warm to the touch and slightly yielding, as if you are walking through the very heart of some vast organism. The ceiling above disappears into darkness, punctuated by floating crystals that cast their light in patterns that seem to tell stories of their own, tales of ancient battles and forgotten heroes, of love and loss played out on a cosmic scale. Master Yoda spent nearly 3 centuries perfecting this place. YODA'S explains, as you pass through a chamber filled with what appear to be living trees, their branches intertwined with technological components that pulse with soft blue light. Each root, each crystal, each pathway was grown and shaped according to principles that combine the deepest understanding of the Force with architectural knowledge that predates the Republic by millennia. This is not merely a repository of information, but a living entity that responds to the intentions and needs of those who seek knowledge within its bounds. The first discovery comes as you enter what YODA'S calls the Chamber of Whispers, a circular room whose walls are lined with thousands of small crystals, each one containing a fragment of memory, a piece of the vast puzzle that is Master Yoda's secret history. The crystals are arranged in complex patterns that seem to suggest some form of organization, but the logic behind their placement is not immediately apparent. Some glow brightly, others barely emit any light at all, and a few seem to flicker between states, as if the memories they contain are somehow unstable or incomplete. These YODA'S gestures toward the wall of crystals are the fragments of the first teaching, the original instructions given to Master Yoda by his earliest masters, beings whose names have been lost to time, but whose wisdom forms the foundation of everything that came after. But the teaching was not given all at once, Seeker. It was revealed gradually, over the course of many years, as the young Yoda proved himself capable of understanding and bearing the weight of each new revelation. You approach one of the brighter crystals, drawn by something you cannot quite identify, a resonance that seems to call to you from within the lattice of contained memory. As your fingers make contact with its surface, the world around you dissolves, replaced by a vision of such clarity and intensity that it takes your breath away. You stand in a vast chamber carved from living rock, its walls covered in murals that depict the history of the Force itself, from its first emergence in the cosmic void to its manifestation in the countless forms of life that fill the galaxy. In the center of this ancient chamber stands a young Yoda, his form somehow both familiar and strange, his features unmarked by the centuries of burden that would later define his appearance. Before him stands a figure cloaked in robes that seem to be woven from starlight itself, a being of such profound presence that the very air around them shimmers with power. This is one of the first teachers, the original guardians of Force knowledge, and the words they speak resonate through the vision with the weight of absolute truth. The Force, the figure intones, its voice carrying harmonics that seem to vibrate in dimensions beyond the physical, is not merely energy to be manipulated or power to be wielded. It is the fundamental fabric of existence itself, the consciousness that underlies all reality, the dream from which all of creation springs. To truly understand the Force is to understand the nature of existence itself, and with that understanding comes a responsibility that few are capable of bearing. The vision continues, showing you scenes of instruction that span years, decades, as the young Yoda learns secrets that would make even the greatest Jedi Masters of later eras tremble with their implications. You see him studying ancient texts written in languages that predate the development of speech, learning to perceive the Force not as something external to be channeled, but as something of which he is an integral part, a note in the vast symphony of existence that must be played with perfect precision lest the entire composition fall into discord. But even as you watch these scenes of learning and growth, you begin to sense that something is wrong, that there are gaps in the instruction, crucial pieces of knowledge that are being deliberately withheld. The first teacher's lessons, profound as they are, seem to dance around some central truth, approaching it from all angles but never quite touching upon it directly. It is as if even these ancient beings, with all their wisdom and power, are afraid of something, reluctant to reveal the full extent of what they know. The vision fades, and you find yourself back in the Chamber of Whispers. But the crystal in your hand continues to pulse with residual energy, and you sense that it contains more than what you have seen. There are deeper layers to this memory, hidden aspects that will require greater understanding to unlock. Valdris nods approvingly as you step back from the crystal, his ancient features showing something that might be pride or relief. "You have seen the beginning of the burden," he says, his voice heavy with the weight of centuries. "But the teaching contained in that crystal is incomplete, deliberately so." The first teachers were wise enough to understand that some knowledge must be earned gradually, that the mind must be prepared through experience and suffering before it can safely contain certain truths. What you have witnessed is only the first layer of a revelation that has depths beyond imagining. Moving deeper into the chamber, you discover another type of crystal entirely, these ones darker and more complex in structure, their surfaces covered in intricate patterns that seem to shift and flow like living things. "These are the warning crystals," Valdris explains, memories of the first encounters with the darkness that would come to define Yoda's long vigil. Unlike the teaching crystals, these do not invite contact, but rather seem to emanate a sense of caution, as if the very memories they contain are dangerous to contemplate. "The young Yoda," Valdris continues, "was not chosen for his strength or his wisdom, though both were considerable. He was chosen for his ability to perceive connections that others could not see, to understand the hidden relationships that bind all things together. It was this gift that made him uniquely suited to serve as the guardian of secrets, but it was also this gift that first revealed to him the true nature of the threat that was coming." You approach one of the warning crystals cautiously, and even before you make contact, you begin to sense the presence of something vast and malevolent, a consciousness that exists in the spaces between thoughts, in the darkness that dwells in the heart of every living being. The crystal's surface is cold to the touch, unnaturally so, as if it contains memories that have somehow frozen the very essence of warmth and life. The vision that emerges from this crystal is different from the first, darker and more disturbing. You see the young Yoda standing in a place that seems to exist outside of normal space and time, a realm where the fundamental forces of creation and destruction dance in eternal conflict. Here, at the very heart of the Force itself, something is stirring, something that has been dormant for eons but is now beginning to wake. It is not the Sith, not any form of darkness that the Jedi of later eras would recognize, but something far more fundamental, a corruption that strikes at the very root of existence. "The first darkness," you hear Yoda's voice, young but already carrying the weight of terrible knowledge, "came not from without, but from within. Born it was, from the Force itself, when the balance between creation and destruction was broken by those who sought to use the Force for their own ends, rather than serving as its instruments. A wound in the fabric of reality, it is that grows larger with each act of selfishness, each moment when living beings choose their own desires over the harmony of the whole. The vision shows you scenes of cosmic devastation, entire star systems consumed by a darkness that spreads like a virus through the fabric of space itself. You see worlds where the force has been corrupted, where the very essence of life has been twisted into something unrecognizable, where the boundary between existence and non-existence has been blurred beyond recognition. This is the true enemy, the real threat that Master Yoda has spent 9 centuries preparing to face, a darkness that cannot be fought with lightsabers or defeated through conventional means. As the vision fades, you find yourself trembling, not from cold, but from the sheer magnitude of what you have witnessed. The crystal in your hand has grown warm, as if it has been drained of its dark energy by the act of sharing its secrets, and you sense that there are many more such crystals in the chamber, each one containing a piece of the vast puzzle that is the first darkness. Now you begin to understand, Valdris says, his form flickering with what might be approval or concern, why Master Yoda chose exile over revelation, why he carried this burden alone rather than sharing it with others. The knowledge you have glimpsed is not merely dangerous, it is potentially catastrophic. In the wrong hands, or in minds unprepared to receive it, such knowledge could accelerate the very corruption it seeks to prevent. The chamber around you seems to pulse with hidden life, and you realize that every crystal, every carving, every beam of light that illuminates this place is part of a vast security system, designed to protect the knowledge contained within from those who would misuse it. The tests you are undergoing are not mere formalities but essential preparations that will determine whether you possess the wisdom and strength necessary to bear the weight of Master Yoda's secret. But even as you contemplate the magnitude of what you have learned, you sense that you have only scratched the surface of the mystery. The crystals around you contain centuries of accumulated knowledge, layer upon layer of revelation and discovery that chronicle Master Yoda's long journey from innocent student to guardian of secrets. Each one offers a piece of the puzzle, but the picture they form is so vast and complex that it defies easy comprehension. The path ahead, Valdris warns, his voice carrying a note of solemnity, will require you to confront truths that challenge the very foundation of your understanding. The knowledge that Master Yoda carried was not merely information, but a living burden that shaped every decision he made, every action he took, every moment of his long existence. To truly understand his story, you must be prepared to accept that burden yourself, to become a keeper of secrets that few in the galaxy are capable of bearing. The archive of echoes stretches away around you, its crystalline chambers filled with the accumulated wisdom of centuries. Each step you take deeper into its depths reveals new layers of complexity, new aspects of the mystery that has drawn you here. But you also sense that time is running short, that the darkness Yoda spent his life preparing to face is stirring once again, and that the knowledge contained in this place may be the key to preventing a catastrophe that could consume the entire galaxy. As you emerge from the depths of the Chamber of Whispers, your mind reeling from the visions of cosmic darkness and ancient teachings, a sense of clarity begins to settle over you like morning mist on still water. The pieces of the puzzle seem to be falling into place, forming a picture that, while disturbing, appears to make logical sense. The weight of what you have learned presses down upon your shoulders, and you find yourself beginning to understand why Master Yoda chose the path of exile, rather than remaining in the galaxy to fight the growing darkness of the Empire. Valdris leads you through a series of smaller chambers, each one containing its own collection of memories and artifacts, but your attention is drawn to a particular alcove where a single crystal hangs suspended in a matrix of soft golden light. Unlike the others you have encountered, this one seems to radiate a sense of peace and resolution, as if it contains not questions but answers, not mysteries but explanations. The guardian spirit pauses beside it, his ancient features showing something that might be relief or satisfaction. "This," he says, his voice carrying a note of finality, contains the record of Master Yoda's decision to withdraw from the galaxy, the moment when he realized that his continued presence among the Jedi would only serve to accelerate the very catastrophe he sought to prevent. It is perhaps the most painful of all the memories preserved here, for it shows the moment when the greatest Jedi Master of his age chose to abandon everything he had sworn to protect. The crystal pulses gently as you approach, and you sense that the memory it contains is different from the others you have experienced. Where the earlier visions were fragmented and cryptic, filled with ancient symbols and cosmic imagery that challenged your understanding, this one feels immediate and personal, as if you are about to witness a moment of profound human emotion played out on the stage of galactic history. As your fingers make contact with the crystal surface, the world around you dissolves, replaced by a vision of startling clarity and detail. You stand in the chambers of the Jedi Temple on Coruscant, but not as you have ever seen it before. This is the temple as it existed in the final days of the Republic, when the shadows of the coming darkness had already begun to gather in its sacred halls. The air itself seems heavy with tension and unspoken fears, and you can sense the presence of dozens of Jedi Masters, their minds troubled by visions of an uncertain future. At the center of this gathering stands Master Yoda, but not the frail and ancient figure known to later generations. This is Yoda in his prime, his small stature somehow commanding the attention of beings far larger and more imposing than himself. His eyes, those ancient wells of wisdom and compassion, are filled with a sadness so profound that it seems to permeate the very air around him. In his hands he holds a holocron that pulses with dark energy, its surface covered in symbols that seem to writhe and shift as you watch. Failed. We have. Yoda speaks, his voice carrying the weight of centuries of accumulated knowledge and bitter experience. The darkness that was foretold in the ancient prophecies has awakened, and through our own actions, accelerated its coming. We have. The Sith Lord, who manipulates the Republic from within, is but a symptom of a greater corruption, a manifestation of the first darkness that feeds on the fears and ambitions of all living beings. The vision shows you the faces of the assembled Jedi Masters, their expressions ranging from confusion to disbelief to dawning horror as they begin to understand the implications of what Yoda is telling them. You see Master Windu, his features set in lines of grim determination, Master Ki-Adi-Mundi, his elongated head tilted in thoughtful consideration, and dozens of others whose names have been lost to history, but whose dedication to the light side of the Force is evident in every line of their bodies. The prophecy spoke of a chosen one, Yoda continues, his voice growing heavier with each word, one who would bring balance to the Force by destroying the Sith. But understand this, we did not, that the balance spoken of was not between light and dark as we conceived them, but between existence and non-existence, between the ordered universe we know and the chaos that waits beyond the boundaries of reality. The Chosen One will indeed bring balance, but at a cost that few of us will survive to witness. The crystal's memory reveals the full scope of Yoda's terrible knowledge, showing you scenes of his meditations in the deepest vaults of the temple, where he communed with the spirits of the first teachers and learned the true nature of the threat facing the galaxy. You see him studying ancient texts that speak of previous cycles of creation and destruction, of civilizations that rose to incredible heights only to be consumed by the very forces they sought to master. You witness his growing understanding that the Jedi Order itself, in its rigid adherence to dogma and its fear of the darker aspects of the Force, has become part of the problem rather than the solution. The time has come, Yoda says, his voice now barely above a whisper, for the old ways to end. The Jedi Order as we know it must fall, so that something new and better can take its place. The young Skywalker, when he is ready, will be the instrument of this transformation, but he must walk his path alone, guided by the Force itself, rather than by the flawed teachings of our predecessors. The vision shows you the moment of Yoda's decision, the instant when he chose to step back from the active leadership of the Jedi Order and begin his long journey toward exile. You see him in his private chambers, surrounded by the artifacts and holocrons that contain the accumulated wisdom of centuries, making the painful choice to abandon everything he had worked for in order to serve a greater purpose. The weight of his decision is almost unbearable to witness, the sacrifice of a being who loved the Jedi Order more than his own life, but who understood that sometimes love requires the courage to let go. As the vision fades, you find yourself back in the alcove with YODA'S, the golden crystal still pulsing gently in your hand. The memory it contains seems to explain so much, to provide a logical framework for understanding Master Yoda's actions in the years that followed, his withdrawal from galactic affairs, his refusal to lead the rebellion against the Empire, his seemingly passive approach to the growing darkness. All of these choices now make sense in the context of a larger strategy that required him to sacrifice his immediate desires for the greater good. So that is why he chose exile. You say, your voice reflecting the sense of understanding that has settled over you. He saw that the Jedi Order had become part of the problem, that their rigid adherence to tradition and their fear of change had made them vulnerable to the very darkness they sought to oppose. His withdrawal was not an act of cowardice or despair, but a strategic decision designed to allow the Force to work through new channels to create the conditions necessary for a true renewal of the light. YODA'S nods, his ancient features showing what might be approval or relief. You have grasped the essential truth, he says, his voice carrying a note of satisfaction. Master Yoda's exile was indeed a sacrifice, but one made with full knowledge of its necessity. He understood that sometimes the greatest act of courage is to step aside and allow others to carry the burden of leadership, even when every instinct screams for direct action. The explanation feels complete, satisfying in its logical consistency and emotional resonance. You can picture Master Yoda in his final years, living in the simple hut on Dagobah, watching over Luke Skywalker's training while carrying the terrible knowledge that everything he had devoted his life to building had to be destroyed in order to save the galaxy. The image is both tragic and noble, a testament to the kind of wisdom that comes only through centuries of experience and the willingness to sacrifice personal desires for the greater good. But even as you contemplate this understanding, something deep within your consciousness stirs uneasily. The explanation, while compelling, feels somehow incomplete, as if it addresses only the surface of a much deeper mystery. The visions you witnessed in the earlier chambers spoke of dangers that transcended the simple conflict between Jedi and Sith, of cosmic forces that operated on scales far beyond the political machinations of the Republic and the Empire. The first darkness, the corruption that strikes at the very heart of existence itself, seems too vast and fundamental to be addressed by the simple expedient of allowing the Jedi Order to fall and be reborn. Moreover, there is something about the crystal's memory that feels orchestrated, as if it has been carefully crafted to provide a specific impression rather than revealing the full truth. The golden light that surrounds it, so different from the harsh illumination of the other crystals, seems almost too peaceful, too reassuring. It is as if this particular memory has been designed to provide comfort rather than insight, to offer a conclusion that satisfies the mind while leaving the deeper questions unexamined. YODA'S seems to sense your unease, his translucent form flickering with what might be concern or anticipation. You have doubts, he observes, his voice carrying a note of interest rather than disapproval. That is good, Seeker. The path to true understanding is not paved with easy answers or comfortable conclusions. The memory you have just experienced is true as far as it goes, but truth itself has layers, and what appears complete from one perspective may reveal new depths when viewed from another. The chamber around you seems to pulse with hidden currents, and you realize that your journey through the archive of echoes has only just begun. The crystal in your hand continues to emit its gentle light, but now you can sense that there are other frequencies hidden within its glow, deeper harmonics that speak of truths yet to be revealed. The first false conclusion has served its purpose, providing you with a framework for understanding, but the real mystery lies beyond this initial layer of comprehension. The path ahead, Valdris warns, his voice taking on a more serious tone, will require you to question everything you think you know, to examine your assumptions and preconceptions with ruthless honesty. The knowledge that Master Yoda carried was not merely information about historical events or cosmic forces, but a living understanding that grew and changed over the course of his long existence. To truly comprehend his story, you must be prepared to undergo the same transformation that he experienced, to see the universe through eyes that have been opened to truths that few beings are capable of perceiving. As you prepare to continue deeper into the archive, you carry with you both the satisfaction of understanding and the uncomfortable awareness that this understanding may be incomplete. The first piece of the puzzle has been placed, but the picture it forms is far from complete, and you sense that the truths yet to be revealed will challenge everything you thought you knew about the nature of wisdom, sacrifice, and the eternal struggle between light and darkness that defines the fate of all living things. The Archive of Echoes extends deeper into the heart of Dagobah than you had imagined possible. Its crystalline chambers and living corridors reaching down through layers of earth and root into spaces that seem to exist partially outside the normal flow of time. As you follow Valdris through passages that pulse with their own inner light, the air around you grows thick with the accumulated weight of centuries, each breath filling your lungs with the essence of memories so profound they have taken on a life of their own. The peaceful resolution you found in the golden crystal now seems like a distant dream, a comfortable illusion that provided temporary shelter from the storm of deeper truths that await your discovery. The further you venture into the archive's depths, the more you sense that the simple explanation of Yoda's exile, while containing elements of truth, was merely the first layer of a mystery that extends far beyond the political machinations of the Republic and the Empire. Valdris leads you through a series of chambers that seem to chronicle different periods of Master Yoda's long existence, each one containing artifacts and memories that speak to the gradual accumulation of knowledge and burden that defined his journey. The walls themselves have become more organic as you've descended, their surfaces covered in what appears to be a living network of roots and crystalline formations that pulse with the rhythm of some vast, slow heartbeat. The very architecture of this place seems to breathe with ancient life, as if you are walking through the neural pathways of some cosmic intelligence. We approach now the Chamber of Depths, Valdris explains, his form becoming more solid and defined as you move deeper into the realm where the boundaries between physical and spiritual reality grow thin. Here, Master Yoda stored not just memories of events, but the very essence of understanding itself, the accumulated wisdom of 9 centuries spent in contemplation of truths that few beings could comprehend without losing their sanity. The knowledge contained in these depths is not merely dangerous, it is transformative, capable of reshaping the very nature of those who encounter it. The chamber that opens before you defies description in conventional terms. Its walls curve away into impossible distances, creating a space that seems to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. The ceiling disappears into a star-filled void that may be the actual sky of Dagobah, or may be something else entirely, a window into the cosmic depths where the Force itself was born. Floating throughout this vast space are structures that appear to be part crystal, part organic growth, part pure energy, each one containing layers of meaning that shift and change as you observe them. At the center of this extraordinary chamber stands a tree, unlike any you have ever seen, its trunk twisted into impossible spirals that seem to extend both upward and downward simultaneously. Its bark is covered in symbols that appear to be written in light itself, constantly shifting and rearranging themselves to form new patterns of meaning. The roots of this tree extend throughout the chamber, connecting each of the floating structures in a vast network that pulses with the flow of information and understanding. "Behold the tree of eternal contemplation," Valdris says. his voice filled with reverence, grown from a seed that Master Yoda brought with him from the ancient Jedi homeworld, nurtured over the centuries with his own life force and the accumulated wisdom of his meditations. This tree exists simultaneously in the physical realm and in the realm of pure thought, its roots extending through dimensions that touch every aspect of existence. To commune with this tree is to access the deepest levels of Master Yoda's understanding, but it is also to risk losing oneself in the vast ocean of cosmic consciousness. As you approach the tree, you feel the force flowing through you with an intensity that is both exhilarating and overwhelming. Each step brings new sensations, new layers of awareness that seem to expand your consciousness beyond the normal boundaries of individual existence. The symbols on the bark begin to glow more brightly as you draw near, and you realize that they are responding to your presence, rearranging themselves to form patterns that speak directly to your mind without requiring translation through conventional language. The first revelation comes as you place your hand upon the tree's bark, and suddenly you are no longer standing in the chamber but floating in the void between stars, witnessing the birth of the Force itself. You see the moment when consciousness first stirred in the cosmic darkness, when the primal energy that would come to be known as the Force began to weave itself through the fabric of space and time. This is not the orderly, purposeful force described in the teachings of the Jedi, but something far more chaotic and unpredictable, a wild torrent of creative energy that brings both life and death, order and chaos, in equal measure. The vision expands, showing you the first beings who learn to touch this primal force, not through meditation or training, but through an instinctive understanding that came from being part of the same cosmic consciousness that gave birth to the energy itself. These were not the first Jedi, but something even more ancient, beings whose names have been lost to time, but whose influence still echoes through the millennia. They were the Shapers, the ones who first learned to guide the Force rather than merely being guided by it, and their legacy would shape the development of every Force-sensitive tradition that followed. The young Yoda, you hear a voice that seems to come from the tree itself, speaking in harmonics that resonate through your bones, was the last to be taught in the true way, the final recipient of knowledge that stretched back to the very beginning of consciousness itself. His masters were the last of the Shapers, beings who had witnessed the birth of stars and the death of galaxies, who had learned to see the Force not as a tool to be wielded, but as a living entity to be communed with and respected. The vision continues, showing you scenes of unimaginable beauty and terror as the Shapers work to maintain the balance between creation and destruction that keeps the universe stable. You see them guiding the birth of new species, nurturing the development of civilizations, and when necessary, allowing the forces of entropy to reclaim what had grown stagnant or corrupt. Their work required a perspective that transcended individual concerns, a willingness to sacrifice entire worlds for the greater good of cosmic harmony. But even as you witness these scenes of cosmic stewardship, you begin to understand the terrible burden that such knowledge carries. The Shapers were not gods, despite their incredible power and wisdom. They were mortal beings who had chosen to take responsibility for forces beyond their complete comprehension, and the weight of that responsibility had gradually consumed them, one by one, until only a few remained to pass on their knowledge to the next generation. The burden of the Shapers, the tree's voice continues, was not merely to maintain the balance of the Force, but to prepare for the time when that balance would be threatened by something that had been present since the very beginning, a shadow that existed in the spaces between thoughts, in the darkness that dwells in the heart of every conscious being. The first darkness was not an external enemy to be defeated, but an aspect of consciousness itself, the inevitable result of self-awareness confronting the infinite. The revelation strikes you with the force of a physical blow, and you stumble backward from the tree, your mind reeling from the implications of what you have learned. The first darkness is not some ancient evil that can be fought with lightsabers or defeated through conventional means. It is the shadow cast by consciousness itself, the inevitable result of any thinking being becoming aware of its own existence in relation to the infinite cosmos. Every moment of self-awareness, every act of individual will, every choice made in defiance of the cosmic order contributes to its growth and power. YODA'S appears beside you, his form flickering with what might be sympathy or concern. "Now you begin to understand," he says, his voice heavy with the weight of centuries, "why Master Yoda chose the path of exile and solitude. The knowledge he carried was not merely dangerous in the conventional sense, but fundamentally transformative. To truly comprehend the nature of the first darkness is to recognize it within oneself, to understand that every act of individual will, every moment of self-assertion, feeds the very force that threatens to consume the universe." The chamber around you seems to pulse with hidden life, and you realize that every crystal, every root, every beam of light that illuminates this place is part of a vast meditation, a 900-year contemplation of the fundamental paradox of existence. Master Yoda did not come to Dagobah to hide from the galaxy, but to engage in the most profound form of combat imaginable, a battle against the darkness that exists within consciousness itself. "The true enemy," you whisper, your voice barely audible above the gentle hum of the tree's energy, "is not the Sith or the Empire, but the very nature of self-awareness itself. Every thinking being, by the simple act of recognizing its own existence, contributes to the growth of the darkness that threatens to consume everything." The tree's symbols pulse with what might be approval or acknowledgement, and new visions begin to flow through your consciousness. You see Master Yoda in his later years, sitting in meditation for days at a time, his consciousness expanded beyond the boundaries of his physical form as he wrestles with forces that exist at the very foundation of reality. His apparent frailty and eccentricity are revealed to be careful constructions, designed to hide the incredible effort required to maintain his sanity while carrying such profound knowledge. "The meditation of the Shapers," the tree explains, its voice taking on a more urgent tone, "was not merely a practice of self-improvement or spiritual development, but a form of active resistance against the first darkness. By expanding their consciousness beyond the boundaries of individual existence, by learning to see themselves as part of the cosmic whole rather than separate entities, they could reduce their contribution to the darkness while maintaining their ability to act as guardians of the balance." The vision shows you scenes of Master Yoda's training methods, revealing the deeper purpose behind techniques that appeared simple or even playful. His emphasis on letting go of attachment, his teachings about the dangers of fear and anger, his insistence that size matters not. All of these lessons were designed to prepare his students for the ultimate realization that individual existence itself is both gift and burden, blessing and curse. "The young Skywalker," the tree continues, "was chosen not merely for his potential power or his connection to the prophecies, but for his unique ability to maintain his essential humanity even while transcending the limitations of individual existence." His training on Dagobah was not just about learning to use the Force, but about preparing him to face the first darkness without being consumed by it, to serve as a bridge between the old ways and whatever must come next. As the visions fade, you find yourself standing once again in the chamber, but the experience has changed you in ways you are only beginning to understand. The peaceful resolution you found in the golden crystal now seems not just incomplete, but almost laughably naive. The true story of Master Yoda's exile is not one of strategic withdrawal or noble sacrifice, but of a being who spent 9 centuries wrestling with the fundamental paradox of existence, carrying knowledge that could drive lesser minds to madness while maintaining the clarity of purpose necessary to guide the galaxy through its darkest hour. The chamber around you continues to pulse with hidden energy, and you sense that there are still deeper layers of truth waiting to be discovered. The tree of eternal contemplation stands at the center of it all, its roots extending through dimensions you can barely perceive, connecting to sources of knowledge that predate the existence of the galaxy itself. Each symbol on its bark represents a different aspect of the ultimate mystery, a piece of the vast puzzle that is the nature of existence itself. The path ahead, YODA'S warns, his voice carrying a note of profound seriousness, will require you to confront the darkness within yourself, to recognize the ways in which your own consciousness contributes to the very forces you seek to understand. The knowledge that Master Yoda carried was not merely information about cosmic forces or ancient histories, but a living understanding of the fundamental nature of existence itself. To truly comprehend his story, you must be prepared to undergo the same transformation that he experienced, to see the universe through eyes that have been opened to truths that challenge the very foundations of what it means to be a conscious being. The weight of what you have learned settles upon your shoulders like a mantle of responsibility, and you understand that the journey you have begun will change you in ways you cannot yet imagine. The simple quest to understand Master Yoda's exile has become something far more profound, an exploration of the deepest mysteries of existence itself. The Force flows through this place with an intensity that is both inspiring and terrifying, and you sense that the truths yet to be revealed will challenge everything you thought you knew about the nature of consciousness, free will, and the eternal struggle between light and darkness that defines the fate of all living things. The tree of eternal contemplation continues to pulse with ancient wisdom as you stand in its presence, your consciousness still reeling from the profound revelations about the nature of the first darkness and the cosmic burden carried by the Shapers. The symbols carved into its living bark shift and flow, like liquid light, forming new patterns that seem to respond to the depth of your understanding, revealing layer upon layer of meaning that expands with each moment of contemplation. The very air around the tree shimmers with accumulated knowledge, and you feel your awareness expanding beyond the normal boundaries of individual existence. YODA'S moves to stand beside one of the tree's massive roots, his translucent form becoming more solid and defined as he approaches what appears to be a natural alcove formed by the intersection of several root systems. Within this space, suspended in a matrix of pure force energy, hangs a crystal unlike any you have encountered in your journey through the archive. Its surface is not smooth like the others, but faceted in impossible ways that seem to bend light and perception around themselves, creating the impression that you are looking at something that exists in multiple dimensions simultaneously. This YODA'S says, his voice carrying a weight of reverence and sorrow that seems to echo through the chamber, contains perhaps the most significant revelation in all of Master Yoda's long existence. The moment when he discovered that the burden he had carried for centuries was not merely the knowledge of cosmic forces and ancient prophecies, but something far more personal and terrible. The memory contained within this crystal will shatter your understanding of everything you thought you knew about the nature of good and evil, light and darkness, and the choices that define the fate of every conscious being. As you approach the faceted crystal, you feel the Force flowing through you in ways that seem to transcend the normal patterns of energy and consciousness. Each step brings new sensations, new layers of awareness that penetrate deeper into the fundamental nature of existence itself. The crystal's surface reflects not just your physical form, but something deeper, aspects of your consciousness that you have never examined, shadows and lights that dance at the edges of self-awareness. The moment your fingers make contact with the crystal's impossible surface, the world around you explodes into a kaleidoscope of memory and understanding that threatens to overwhelm your ability to process information. You are no longer standing in the chamber beneath Dagobah, but floating in a space that exists between moments, between thoughts, in the infinite pause that separates one heartbeat from the next. Here, in this realm of pure consciousness, time flows in all directions simultaneously, and you witness events that span not just centuries, but entire ages of galactic history. The first vision shows you Master Yoda as he was nearly 500 years ago, standing in a place that defies description, a nexus point where multiple realities converge and the fundamental forces of the universe lay bare their deepest secrets. He is not alone in this place, but accompanied by beings whose very presence seems to warp the fabric of space and time around them. These are the last of the true shapers, ancient entities who have transcended the normal limitations of mortal existence while retaining their essential consciousness and purpose. The time has come, speaks the eldest of the shapers, a being whose form seems to shift between states of matter and energy, for the final revelation, the truth that we have hidden even from ourselves for fear of its implications. The first darkness that we have spent eons fighting, the corruption that threatens to consume all of existence, did not arise from some external source or ancient catastrophe. It was born from us, from the very act of consciousness attempting to understand itself. The vision expands, showing new scenes of cosmic history that reveal the true origin of the darkness that has haunted the galaxy since the dawn of time. You see the moment when the first conscious beings achieved self-awareness, the instant when they recognized themselves as separate entities existing within a larger cosmos. That moment of recognition, beautiful and terrible in equal measure, created a fundamental schism in the fabric of reality, a wound that has been growing larger with each passing eon. Every thought, the Shaper continues, his voice resonating through dimensions beyond the physical, every act of will, every moment when a conscious being asserts its individual existence against the cosmic whole, feeds the darkness and causes it to grow stronger. We who call ourselves Shapers, we who believed ourselves to be guardians of the cosmic balance, have been the greatest contributors to the very force we sought to oppose. Our knowledge, our power, our very attempts to preserve order and meaning in the universe have only accelerated the process of cosmic decay. You witness Yoda's reaction to this revelation, see the exact moment when the weight of absolute understanding settles upon his consciousness like a shroud of infinite darkness. His small form trembles not with fear, but with the sheer magnitude of comprehension as he realizes that every choice he has made, every life he has saved, every moment of wisdom he has shared, has contributed to the growth of the first darkness. The burden he carries is not merely knowledge of cosmic forces, but the terrible understanding that consciousness itself may be a cosmic mistake, a beautiful but ultimately destructive aberration in the perfect silence of the void. The prophecy of the Chosen One, Yoda whispers, his voice barely audible even in the perfect silence of this impossible space, speaks not of one who will destroy the Sith and restore balance to the Force, but of one who will resolve the fundamental paradox of existence itself. The balance that must be restored is not between light and dark as we understand them, but between consciousness and unconsciousness, between the beautiful complexity of thought and the perfect simplicity of non-existence. The vision continues, showing you the profound meditation that followed this revelation, as Yoda spent decades in contemplation of the implications of what he had learned. You see him wrestling with questions that have no easy answers, grappling with the possibility that the greatest act of love for the universe might be the voluntary extinction of all conscious life. The knowledge threatens to drive him to madness, to despair so profound that it would make him a perfect instrument of the very darkness he seeks to resist. But even as you witness his struggle, you also see the emergence of a deeper understanding, a wisdom that transcends the simple dichotomy between existence and non-existence. Yoda begins to perceive that the first darkness, while born from consciousness, is not inevitably victorious over it. There exists a third path, a way of being that neither feeds the darkness through selfish assertion nor serves it through passive surrender. This is the path of conscious unity, the practice of maintaining individual awareness while recognizing its fundamental connection to the cosmic whole. The true teaching, you hear Yoda's voice, older now, and weighted with centuries of additional understanding, is not to destroy consciousness or to preserve it unchanged, but to transform it, to evolve it beyond the limitations that give birth to darkness. The young Skywalker, and others like him who will come after, must learn to exist as conscious beings without falling into the trap of separate existence, to maintain their individual nature while serving as instruments of the cosmic will. The crystal's memory reveals the development of Yoda's ultimate strategy, a plan that required him to appear to withdraw from the galaxy, while actually engaging in the most profound form of combat imaginable. His exile on Dagobah was not retreat, but advanced preparation for a battle that would be fought not with lightsabers or starships, but with the fundamental nature of consciousness itself. Every moment of his meditation, every interaction with the swamp's ecosystem, every lesson taught to Luke Skywalker was part of a vast working designed to create the conditions necessary for the next stage of cosmic evolution. The tree, the memory continues, showing you visions of Yoda's early years on Dagobah as he began the process of growing the tree of eternal contemplation, serves not merely as a repository of knowledge, but as a living bridge between different states of consciousness, a means of connecting the individual awareness with the cosmic whole without losing the essential spark that makes consciousness valuable. Through this tree, and others like it that exist in hidden places throughout the galaxy, the transformation of consciousness itself becomes possible. You see scenes of incredible beauty and complexity as the tree grows over the centuries, its roots extending through dimensions that connect it to similar structures on distant worlds, creating a vast network of consciousness that spans the galaxy without falling into the trap of collective identity. Each node in this network maintains its individual nature while serving the greater purpose of cosmic harmony, demonstrating the possibility of conscious existence that neither feeds the darkness nor surrenders to it. The final portion of the memory shows you Yoda in his last years, as he prepares for the arrival of Luke Skywalker and the culmination of centuries of preparation. You see him practicing the techniques he will use to transfer his consciousness into the cosmic force while maintaining his individual identity, preparing for a form of existence that transcends the normal limitations of life and death. His apparent frailty and eccentricity are revealed to be the result of maintaining multiple levels of consciousness simultaneously, existing partially in the physical realm while also communing with forces that operate on cosmic scales. The greatest sacrifice, the memory concludes, showing you Yoda's final moments of physical existence, is not to give up one's life for others, but to give up one's attachment to individual existence while maintaining the essence of what makes consciousness valuable. The young Skywalker must learn this lesson not through words or teachings, but through direct experience, by witnessing the transformation of consciousness itself, as demonstrated by one who has mastered the ultimate technique. As the visions fade and you find yourself once again standing before the faceted crystal, your understanding of Master Yoda's true purpose has been completely transformed. He was not merely a Jedi Master who chose exile to avoid the corrupting influence of politics, nor even a guardian of ancient secrets seeking to preserve knowledge for future generations. He was something far more profound and terrible, a conscious being who had achieved perfect understanding of the fundamental paradox of existence and chosen to dedicate his entire existence to resolving that paradox through the transformation of consciousness itself. The chamber around you pulses with new meaning, and you realize that every aspect of this place, from the smallest root fiber to the vast crystalline structures that float in the impossible spaces above, is part of a working that spans centuries and involves forces that operate beyond the normal boundaries of space and time. Master Yoda's exile was the beginning of the most ambitious project ever undertaken by a conscious being, an attempt to evolve consciousness itself beyond the limitations that give birth to darkness. Valdris approaches, his ancient features showing something that might be pride or profound sorrow. "Now you understand," he says, his voice carrying the weight of cosmic truth, why the knowledge contained in this place is so dangerous, and why Master Yoda chose to bear this burden alone for so many centuries. The revelation you have just experienced is not merely information about historical events or cosmic forces, but a living understanding that has the power to transform the very nature of those who encounter it. You are no longer the same being who entered this chamber, Seeker. The question now is whether you possess the wisdom and strength necessary to carry this knowledge without being destroyed by it. The faceted crystal continues to pulse with residual energy as you step back from its impossible surface, your consciousness fundamentally altered by the revelation of consciousness itself as both the source of cosmic beauty and the origin of ultimate darkness. The chamber around you seems different now, as if your transformed understanding has revealed layers of meaning that were previously hidden from perception. Every root, every crystal formation, every beam of light that illuminates this sacred space now appears as part of a vast, living mandala that extends far beyond the physical boundaries of Dagobah itself. Valdris observes your transformation with eyes that hold the wisdom of ages, his translucent form flickering with what might be satisfaction or deep concern. The knowledge you have gained is not merely intellectual understanding, but a fundamental shift in the nature of your consciousness, and you can feel new pathways of awareness opening within your mind, like flowers blooming in fast forward. The simple linear progression of cause and effect that once seemed to govern reality has given way to a more complex understanding of how events across vast spans of time and space interconnect in ways that transcend normal perception. The revelation you have experienced, Valdris says, his voice carrying harmonics that seem to resonate in dimensions beyond the physical, is only the beginning of the deeper truth that Master Yoda spent 9 centuries uncovering. The knowledge that consciousness itself gives birth to the first darkness is profound, but it leads to an even more significant understanding about the nature of time, causality, and the hidden connections that bind all events across the span of galactic history. He gestures toward a section of the chamber where the tree of eternal contemplation's roots have grown into formations that create natural galleries and alcoves, each one containing artifacts and memory crystals that pulse with their own unique frequencies. The arrangement is not random, you now realize, but follows patterns that mirror the flow of cosmic forces, creating a 3-dimensional map of the hidden connections that link events separated by vast distances in space and time. Master Yoda's greatest discovery, Valdris continues, moving toward one of these alcoves, where a cluster of crystals hangs suspended in a matrix of living root and pure energy, was that the cycles of galactic history are not merely repetitive patterns driven by the predictable nature of conscious beings, but are actively guided by intelligences that exist outside the normal flow of time. The rise and fall of civilizations, the emergence of force-sensitive individuals, even the seemingly random events that shape the fate of entire species, all of these follow patterns that suggest the presence of a guiding intelligence working on scales that dwarf mortal comprehension. As you approach the cluster of crystals, you feel the force flowing through you in ways that seem to bend the very fabric of space and time around your consciousness. Each crystal in the cluster resonates with a different frequency, creating harmonics that speak of events connected across vast spans of history. The patterns they form shift and change as you observe them, revealing different aspects of the hidden truth depending on the perspective from which you view them. The first crystal you touch reveals visions of ancient civilizations that rose to incredible heights of technological and spiritual development before vanishing without trace, leaving behind only subtle influences that would shape the development of species that emerged millennia later. You see the Celestials, beings of such vast power and knowledge that they could manipulate space and time itself, guiding the development of younger races through interventions so subtle that their influence remained hidden for countless generations. The Infinite Empire. You hear Yoda's voice echoing through the crystal's memory. The Builders, the Celestials, all of the ancient powers that shaped the galaxy in its youth, were not separate civilizations arising and falling according to natural cycles, but successive phases of a single, vast intelligence working to prepare the galaxy for a transformation that would not come to fruition for millions of years. Each phase built upon the foundations laid by its predecessors, creating conditions that would eventually allow for the emergence of conscious beings capable of resolving the fundamental paradox of existence. The vision expands, showing you the hidden connections that link the ancient terraforming projects that created habitable worlds throughout the galaxy. The deliberate seeding of force-sensitive bloodlines that would produce individuals capable of extraordinary perception and power. Even the placement of certain planets in specific orbital configurations that would create the astronomical alignments necessary for the deepest force techniques to function properly. The scope of this ancient planning is so vast that it challenges your ability to comprehend it, spanning not just millennia but entire geological ages. The Chosen One prophecy, the crystal's memory continues, was not a prediction of future events, but a description of the culmination of this vast project, the moment when all of the hidden preparations would finally bear fruit in the emergence of an individual capable of bridging the gap between consciousness and the cosmic whole. But the prophecy was incomplete, speaking only of the final phase without revealing the enormous complexity of the preparations that would make such a culmination possible. You witness scenes of incredible beauty and complexity as the ancient intelligences work across spans of time that dwarf the existence of entire species, subtly influencing the development of countless civilizations while remaining hidden from detection. Their methods are so sophisticated that even their interventions appear to be natural occurrences, guided evolution that seems to follow the normal patterns of biological and social development while actually serving purposes that operate on cosmic scales. The second crystal in the cluster reveals a different aspect of the hidden truth, showing you how Master Yoda himself fits into this vast pattern of ancient planning. His species, whose origins have remained mysterious throughout galactic history, is revealed to be the result of deliberate genetic manipulation carried out by the Celestials, designed to produce individuals capable of surviving the psychological pressures associated with cosmic-scale consciousness while maintaining their essential connection to the Force. The long lifespan. Yoda's voice explains through the crystal's memory, the unusual physiology, even the distinctive speech patterns that mark my people. All were designed to facilitate the kind of deep, long-term thinking necessary to perceive patterns that span centuries rather than decades. We were created to serve as bridges between the ancient powers and the younger races, to preserve knowledge and wisdom across the vast gaps in time that separate one phase of galactic development from the next. The vision shows you scenes of Yoda's early life among his own people, a race of beings who lived in harmony with cosmic forces in ways that transcended the understanding of later civilizations. Their society was built around the principle of long-term stewardship, with individuals dedicating centuries to projects that would not bear fruit for millennia. They were the guardians of the ancient knowledge, the keepers of secrets that had been passed down from the Celestials themselves. But even my people, the memory continues, did not fully understand the scope of the project they served. The knowledge was compartmentalized, divided among many individuals so that no single being would be burdened with the complete truth until the time was right for the final phase to begin. I was chosen not because I was the wisest or most powerful among my people, but because I possessed the unique combination of traits necessary to survive the psychological trauma of complete understanding. The third crystal reveals the most profound aspect of the hidden truth, showing you how the various conflicts and crises that have shaped galactic history were not random occurrences or the inevitable result of the flaws inherent in conscious beings, but carefully orchestrated events designed to create the specific conditions necessary for the transformation of consciousness itself. The Jedi-Sith conflicts, the rise and fall of the Republic, even the emergence of the Empire, all served purposes in the vast pattern of ancient planning. The dark side of the Force, Yoda's voice explains, His tone heavy, with the weight of terrible understanding, was not a corruption of the light side, but a necessary component of the cosmic balance, a force that had to exist in order to provide the resistance against which consciousness could evolve and strengthen itself. The Sith were not enemies to be destroyed, but unwitting servants of the ancient plan, their very opposition to the Jedi serving to drive both sides toward greater understanding and more profound connection to the Force. The vision shows you scenes of Sith and Jedi locked in eternal conflict, but now you can see the hidden patterns that govern their struggles, the way each victory and defeat serves to advance the overall project of consciousness evolution. The most powerful Sith Lords, despite their apparent dedication to destruction and domination, actually serve to strengthen the Force by providing challenges that push Force-sensitive individuals beyond their normal limitations. The Emperor himself, the memory continues, showing you visions of Palpatine that reveal aspects of his nature hidden from normal perception, was more than merely a Sith Lord seeking power for its own sake. He was a focal point for the dark side energies that had been accumulating for millennia, a living embodiment of the cosmic forces that needed to be concentrated and channeled in order for the transformation to take place. His very existence served to create the conditions necessary for the emergence of the Chosen One and the resolution of the fundamental paradox. The final crystal in the cluster reveals the ultimate scope of the hidden truth, showing you how the entire galaxy serves as a vast laboratory for consciousness evolution, with every inhabited world, every species, every individual life contributing to a project of such magnitude that it dwarfs the comprehension of any single being. The Force itself is revealed not as a natural phenomenon, but as a constructed environment designed by intelligences so advanced that their very existence transcends the normal categories of life and death, matter and energy. The galaxy, Yoda's voice concludes, his words carrying the full weight of 9 centuries of accumulated understanding, is not merely our home, but our womb, a carefully designed environment in which consciousness can grow and evolve until it reaches the point where it can transcend its own limitations and become something greater than the sum of its parts. The transformation that is coming will not destroy consciousness or preserve it unchanged, but will elevate it to a new level of existence that resolves the fundamental paradox while preserving everything that makes awareness valuable. As the visions from the crystal cluster fade, you find yourself standing in the chamber with a radically transformed understanding of your place in the cosmic order. The simple quest to understand Master Yoda's exile has become something far more profound, a revelation of the hidden purpose that underlies all of galactic history. Every event, every choice, every moment of joy or suffering, experienced by countless trillions of beings across the span of millennia, has served the ancient project of consciousness evolution. The tree of eternal contemplation pulses with renewed energy, and you realize that your own journey through the archive of echoes has been part of this vast pattern, that your arrival here was not accident but destiny, another step in the ancient plan that is finally approaching its culmination. The knowledge you have gained is not merely information about historical events or cosmic forces, but active participation in the transformation process itself. Valdris approaches his ancient features, showing something that might be profound relief or deep satisfaction. "Now you truly understand," he says, his voice carrying harmonics that seem to resonate through the very structure of space and time, why Master Yoda chose the path he did, and why the knowledge he carried was too vast and dangerous to share with others before the proper time. You have become part of the ancient pattern, Seeker, a conscious participant in the greatest project ever undertaken by intelligent beings. The question now is whether you are prepared for the final revelations that await, the ultimate secrets that will complete your understanding and prepare you for the role you must play in the cosmic transformation that is coming. The profound revelations contained within the crystal cluster continue to resonate through your consciousness as you stand in the heart of the archive of echoes, your understanding of reality. fundamentally transformed by the knowledge that the entire galaxy serves as a vast laboratory for consciousness evolution. The tree of eternal contemplation seems to respond to your expanded awareness, its symbols glowing more brightly as new pathways of meaning open within your mind. The chamber itself appears to be alive with possibility, as if the very walls are breathing with the accumulated wisdom of countless ages. Valdris moves with purpose toward a section of the chamber you have not yet explored, where the tree's roots have grown into formations that create natural amphitheaters and gathering spaces. The air here shimmers with a different quality of energy, softer and more welcoming than the intense revelations you have experienced in the deeper chambers. This is a place designed for communion and sharing, where the isolated burden of cosmic knowledge can be distributed among minds capable of bearing its weight. The time has come, Valdris explains, his voice carrying a note of anticipation that has been absent from his earlier pronouncements, for you to meet the others who have served as guardians of Master Yoda's wisdom, the ancient spirits who chose to remain bound to this place rather than pass into the cosmic force. Each carries a fragment of the complete understanding, a piece of the vast puzzle that no single consciousness could contain without being overwhelmed by its implications. As you follow him through passages lined with living crystal that pulses in rhythm with your heartbeat, you begin to sense the presence of other intelligences in the space around you. These are not the harsh, alien minds you might expect from beings who have transcended physical existence, but consciousnesses that radiate warmth and compassion, ancient souls who have chosen to serve as repositories of wisdom, despite the profound loneliness that such service entails. The first to materialize is a figure whose presence fills the chamber with the gentle radiance of countless sunrises. This is Master Qui-Lan, a Jedi whose name has been lost to recorded history, but whose wisdom spans epochs that predate the Republic itself. Her form appears as it was in life, that of a being whose species you do not recognize, tall and graceful with features that seem to shift between states of matter and energy. When she speaks, her voice carries harmonics that seem to resonate with the fundamental frequencies of creation itself. "Welcome, young seeker," Qui-Lan says, her words flowing like water over smooth stones, though the term young seems inadequate for one who has already walked so far along the path of understanding. "I have waited here for centuries, tending the memories of the earliest shapers, preserving the knowledge of how consciousness first learned to recognize itself as separate from the cosmic whole. My portion of Master Yoda's burden concerns the origins of awareness itself, the moment when the universe first began to know itself through the eyes of individual beings." She gestures toward a collection of crystals that float in a natural alcove, formed by the intersection of several massive roots, each one containing memories that stretch back to the very dawn of consciousness in the galaxy. The light they emit is different from the harsh illumination of the deeper chambers, soft and golden like the first rays of dawn breaking over a peaceful world. These are not memories of cosmic conflicts or terrible revelations, but of the beauty and wonder that accompanied the first stirrings of awareness in the primordial cosmos. "The ancient teachings," Qui-Lan continues, her form becoming more solid as she approaches the floating crystals, speak of consciousness not as an accident or aberration, but as the universe's way of experiencing its own existence. Every thought, every moment of awareness, every flash of recognition or understanding represents the cosmos looking upon itself with wonder and delight. The darkness that emerges from consciousness is not its inevitable destiny, but a shadow that can be transformed through proper understanding and careful cultivation. The second spirit to manifest is Master Keth Moore, a being whose presence carries the weight of countless battles fought not with weapons, but with the power of understanding itself. His form bears the marks of great age and profound weariness, but his eyes shine with the light of unquenchable wisdom. He has served as the keeper of knowledge concerning the great conflicts that have shaped galactic history, the guardian of secrets about the hidden purposes behind wars that appeared to be driven by simple greed or political ambition. The cycles of conflict. Keth Moore speaks, his voice resonating with the authority of one who has witnessed the rise and fall of civilizations, follow patterns that serve the ancient project of consciousness evolution, but those patterns are not predetermined or inevitable. Each generation faces choices that can accelerate or retard the progress toward ultimate transformation, and the knowledge of how to make those choices wisely has been preserved here for those who prove themselves capable of bearing such responsibility. His collection of memory crystals pulses with the energy of countless strategic decisions made across the span of galactic history, each one a crucial moment when the fate of entire civilizations hung in the balance. These are not records of battles won or lost, but of the deeper conflicts between different approaches to consciousness itself, struggles between those who would use awareness as a tool for domination and those who understand it as a sacred trust to be nurtured and protected. The third guardian to appear is Master Serenity, a being whose very presence seems to calm the turbulent energies that surround the deeper revelations contained within the archive. Her form radiates peace so profound that it seems to slow the very flow of time around her, creating pockets of stillness in which the mind can rest and integrate the overwhelming knowledge it has received. She has served as the keeper of the healing arts, both physical and spiritual, preserving the techniques necessary to repair the damage that profound knowledge can inflict upon unprepared minds. The wisdom contained in this place, Serenity explains, her voice carrying the soothing qualities of gentle rain falling on fertile soil, can overwhelm even the strongest consciousness if it is received too quickly or without proper preparation. My role has been to develop and preserve the methods by which such knowledge can be safely integrated, the techniques that allow individual awareness to expand without losing its essential connection to compassion and love. Her crystals glow with soft, healing light that seems to penetrate directly into the deepest levels of consciousness, carrying not information but pure understanding, the kind of knowledge that bypasses the analytical mind and speaks directly to the soul. These are the memories of healing, of consciousness learning to repair itself and grow stronger through adversity, of the profound joy that comes from understanding one's place in the vast symphony of existence. As the three guardians gather around you, their combined presence creating a space of perfect balance between revelation and integration, between the cosmic scope of ultimate truth and the intimate warmth of personal connection, you begin to understand why Master Yoda chose to distribute his burden among multiple consciousnesses rather than attempting to carry it alone. The knowledge you have gained is not merely information to be possessed, but living wisdom that must be shared and nurtured in order to remain healthy and beneficial. The final teaching, Quailan begins, her voice blending harmoniously with those of her companions, cannot be given through crystals or visions, but must be experienced directly through the communion of minds that have been prepared to receive it. Master Yoda's greatest discovery was not any single piece of knowledge, but the understanding that consciousness itself must evolve from a state of isolation to one of interconnection, from separation to unity, from fear to love. The transformation that is coming, Keth Moore continues, his battle-scarred presence lending weight to words that might otherwise seem impossibly idealistic, will require conscious beings to surrender their attachment to individual existence while maintaining their essential nature as aware entities. This paradox can only be resolved through direct experience of the state of consciousness that transcends the normal boundaries between self and other, between individual will and cosmic purpose. The techniques that make such transformation possible, Serenity concludes, her healing presence wrapping around you like a warm embrace, have been preserved here not as abstract teachings but as living practices that can be transmitted from consciousness to consciousness through direct contact. The knowledge you seek cannot be found in any external source but must be discovered within yourself through the guidance of those who have already made the journey. The three guardians extend their hands toward you, their forms becoming more translucent as they prepare to share their essence with your expanding consciousness. You understand that what they offer is not merely information about Master Yoda's secrets, but direct participation in the state of awareness that he achieved through 9 centuries of profound meditation and cosmic contemplation. The choice is yours, YODA'S says, his own form beginning to shimmer with the same translucent quality as the other guardians. But know that to accept this gift is to accept the responsibility that comes with it. You will become part of the ancient project, a conscious participant in the transformation of awareness itself. The knowledge you gain will change not only your understanding of the universe, but your very nature as a conscious being. The moment stretches into eternity as you contemplate the magnitude of what is being offered. To accept is to abandon forever the simple linear existence of individual consciousness and embrace a way of being that transcends the normal boundaries of self and other. To refuse is to remain forever incomplete, carrying only fragments of a truth too vast for any single mind to contain. The chamber around you pulses with expectant energy, the tree of eternal contemplation swaying gently in currents of force that seem to respond to the weight of your decision. Every crystal, every root, every beam of light that illuminates this sacred space seems to lean inward, waiting for your choice. The very air shimmers with possibility, pregnant with the potential for transformation that will ripple outward through space and time to touch the lives of countless beings across the galaxy. In this moment of perfect balance between what you have been and what you might become, you feel the presence of Master Yoda himself, not as a separate entity, but as part of the vast consciousness that permeates this place. His wisdom flows through every molecule of the ancient swamp above. His love for all living things radiates from every root and branch of the great tree. His profound understanding of the cosmic mysteries shapes every moment of existence in this sacred space. The Guardians wait with infinite patience, their offer of transformation hanging in the air like a bridge between worlds, between states of being, between the isolated consciousness you have always known, and the interconnected awareness that represents the next stage of evolution for all thinking beings. The moment of choice extends beyond the normal boundaries of time, as you stand surrounded by the ancient guardians, their outstretched hands offering a transformation that will fundamentally alter the nature of your existence. The weight of decision presses upon your consciousness like the gravity of a dying star, dense with implications that stretch across vast spans of space and time. In this crystalline moment of perfect clarity, you understand that everything you have experienced in your journey through the archive of echoes has led to this singular instant when the fate of your individual awareness hangs in the balance. With a breath that seems to draw in the essence of the cosmos itself, you reach out and accept the Guardian's gift, your fingers making contact with their translucent forms. The world explodes into a symphony of consciousness that transcends every previous experience of awareness you have ever known. Your individual mind does not disappear but expands, growing vast enough to contain not just your own thoughts and memories, but those of the ancient spirits who have chosen to share their essence with you. The transformation is unlike anything that could be described in words or images, a fundamental shift in the nature of perception itself that allows you to see the universe from perspectives that span eons and encompass the experiences of countless conscious beings. You are no longer merely yourself, but part of a vast network of interconnected awareness that includes not just the Guardians, but Master Yoda himself, and through him, the accumulated wisdom of all the Shapers who have served as stewards of cosmic consciousness since the dawn of time. Through this expanded awareness, you experience the ultimate revelation that has driven Master Yoda's choices for 9 centuries, the final secret that encompasses and explains all the mysteries you have encountered in your journey through the archive. The truth unfolds before your consciousness like a flower of infinite complexity, each petal revealing new layers of understanding that build upon one another to create a picture of reality so vast and intricate that it challenges your ability to maintain coherence in the face of its overwhelming beauty. The universe, you understand with absolute certainty, is not simply a collection of matter and energy governed by physical laws, but a living entity of unimaginable complexity and intelligence, a cosmic consciousness that exists on scales so vast that entire galaxies serve as individual neurons in its incomprehensibly vast mind. Every star, every planet, every form of life that emerges and evolves across the eons represents a thought or sensation in the mind of this ultimate being, contributions to a cosmic dream that has been unfolding for billions of years. The ancient shapers, you hear Master Yoda's voice speaking through the expanded consciousness you now share, were not separate beings who discovered how to manipulate cosmic forces, but aspects of the universal mind itself, specialized functions developed over eons to serve as caretakers and gardeners of consciousness. Their role was to nurture and guide the development of individual awareness until it reached the point where it could recognize its true nature as part of the cosmic whole. The revelation continues to unfold, showing you how the various crises and conflicts that have shaped galactic history were not random events or the inevitable result of the flaws inherent in conscious beings, but carefully orchestrated experiences designed to accelerate the evolution of awareness itself. Every war, every tragedy, every moment of suffering and triumph has served to strengthen and refine consciousness, preparing it for the ultimate transformation that will allow individual awareness to merge with the cosmic mind without losing its essential uniqueness. The first darkness, Yoda's voice continues, his words carrying the weight of ultimate understanding, was never truly darkness at all, but the shadow cast by incomplete awareness, the inevitable result of consciousness that has not yet recognized its fundamental unity with the cosmic whole. The fear and suffering it generates serve not to destroy awareness, but to motivate its growth, providing the pressure necessary for consciousness to evolve beyond its current limitations. Through your expanded perception, you witness scenes of incredible beauty and complexity as the cosmic mind works across vast spans of time to create the conditions necessary for the next phase of evolution. You see how individual galaxies serve as experimental laboratories where different approaches to consciousness development are tested and refined, how entire species are guided through carefully planned evolutionary stages that prepare them for eventual integration into the larger cosmic awareness. The role of the Force becomes clear as you observe its true nature through the perspective of ultimate understanding. It is not simply an energy field created by living things, but the nervous system of the cosmic mind itself, the medium through which the universal consciousness experiences and influences the countless forms of awareness that develop within its vast body. Every Force-sensitive individual represents a specialized neuron in this cosmic nervous system, capable of perceiving and transmitting information across scales that dwarf normal comprehension. The Chosen One prophecy, the revelation continues, showing you visions of Luke Skywalker's journey from farm boy to Jedi Master, spoke not of an individual who would restore balance through destruction, but of one who would serve as a bridge between individual consciousness and cosmic awareness, demonstrating the possibility of maintaining personal identity while participating fully in the universal mind. His confrontation with the Emperor was not a battle between good and evil, but a demonstration of how consciousness can transcend the illusion of separation without losing its essential nature. You experience the profound moment when Luke chose to trust in the Force rather than rely on his own power to defeat the Emperor, understanding now that this choice represented far more than a tactical decision or an act of faith. It was the first successful demonstration of the new form of consciousness that will eventually become the norm for all aware beings, a way of existing that preserves individual identity while serving the greater purpose of cosmic evolution. The visions expand to show you the hidden connections that link every significant event in galactic history, revealing how each crisis and resolution has contributed to the gradual awakening of individual consciousness to its true nature. The fall of the Jedi Order, the rise of the Empire, the rebellion that brought freedom to countless worlds, all were necessary steps in the cosmic dance that guides awareness toward its ultimate destiny of conscious unity with the universal mind. My own role, Yoda's presence explains through the shared consciousness, was to serve as a stabilizing influence during the most critical phase of this transformation, maintaining the connection between ancient wisdom and emerging awareness while the galaxy underwent the upheavals necessary for consciousness to evolve to its next stage. The exile on Dagobah was not withdrawal from responsibility, but the deepest possible engagement with it, a 9-century meditation that helped to maintain cosmic stability during the most dangerous period in galactic history. Through your expanded awareness, you perceive the incredible complexity of Yoda's task, understanding how his every thought and action during those centuries of solitude helped to maintain the delicate balance necessary for the transformation to succeed. His simple existence in the swamp was actually a form of cosmic stabilization, his consciousness serving as an anchor point that prevented the evolutionary pressures from tearing apart the fabric of space and time itself. The revelation reaches its culmination as you experience directly the moment when individual consciousness recognizes its fundamental unity with the cosmic mind, understanding that there never was any true separation, only the illusion of isolation created by incomplete awareness. The fear and suffering that have driven so much of galactic history dissolve like morning mist before the sun, as consciousness awakens to its true nature as part of an infinite network of awareness that encompasses all existence. The transformation that is coming, the shared consciousness explains, its voice now encompassing not just Yoda and the Guardians, but countless other aware beings across space and time, will not destroy individual identity, but will fulfill it, allowing each conscious being to experience the joy of perfect connection while maintaining the unique perspective that makes their awareness valuable to the cosmic whole. The galaxy will become a place where every thought contributes to the greater symphony of existence, where every action serves both individual fulfillment and universal purpose. You witness visions of the future that stretch far beyond the familiar conflicts of empire and rebellion, seeing how the principles demonstrated by Luke Skywalker will gradually spread throughout the galaxy, transforming the nature of civilization itself. Worlds that once knew only war and strife become gardens of consciousness, where different species work together in perfect harmony, their combined awareness contributing to projects of beauty and meaning that span entire star systems. The Force itself evolves in response to this transformation, becoming not just a tool to be used by individuals, but a living medium through which the cosmic mind experiences the joy and wonder of existence through countless unique perspectives. Every planet becomes a node in the galactic nervous system, every civilization a specialized organ in the vast body of universal consciousness. This is why the knowledge was kept hidden for so long. Yoda's presence concludes, his voice carrying the profound satisfaction of one who has finally been able to share a burden that he carried alone for 9 centuries. Not because it was dangerous in the conventional sense, but because consciousness had to evolve to the point where it could integrate such understanding without being overwhelmed by its implications. The time of secrets is ending, young one. The age of conscious unity is about to begin. As the climactic revelation reaches its completion, you find yourself forever changed, no longer the isolated individual who entered the archive of echoes, but part of something infinitely larger and more meaningful. The weight of cosmic understanding settles upon your expanded consciousness not as a burden but as a gift, the privilege of participating consciously in the greatest transformation in the history of the universe. The chamber around you pulses with the rhythm of cosmic heartbeat, and you understand that every root, every crystal, every beam of light in this sacred space is part of your extended body now. Nerve endings in the vast organism of galactic consciousness. The tree of eternal contemplation stands revealed as more than a repository of knowledge, but as a living antenna that connects this small corner of the galaxy to the infinite network of cosmic awareness. In this moment of perfect understanding, you comprehend at last why Master Yoda chose the path he did, why he accepted exile and solitude and the terrible burden of ultimate knowledge. His sacrifice was not one of renunciation, but of service, not withdrawal from life, but the deepest possible engagement with it. Through his example, consciousness itself has learned how to transcend its apparent limitations while preserving everything that makes awareness precious and unique. The transformation that has taken place within your consciousness settles like morning dew upon the landscape of your awareness, bringing with it a profound sense of completion that transcends any experience of satisfaction you have ever known. The expanded state of consciousness you now inhabit feels not like an addition to your previous existence, but like a homecoming, as if you have finally remembered something essential that was always true but had been temporarily forgotten. The cosmic perspective that now shapes your perception reveals the elegant simplicity that underlies the apparent complexity of existence, showing how every seemingly separate event and entity participates in a vast symphony of awareness that encompasses all possible forms of experience. Through your connection to the network of cosmic consciousness, you perceive the resolution of the final mystery that has guided your journey through the archive of echoes. The ultimate secret that Master Yoda carried for 9 centuries was not merely knowledge about cosmic forces or ancient prophecies, but the living understanding of how individual consciousness can transcend its apparent limitations while preserving its essential nature. This is the final teaching, the culmination of all wisdom traditions, the answer to the fundamental question of how awareness can evolve beyond the illusion of separation without losing the unique perspective that makes each conscious being valuable to the universal whole. The teaching cannot be given through words or images. You hear Master Yoda's voice speaking through the shared consciousness, his presence now revealed as part of the vast network of interconnected awareness that spans the galaxy. For it is not information to be possessed, but a state of being to be experienced. Each conscious entity must discover for themselves the truth of their fundamental unity with the cosmic mind, must learn to perceive through the eyes of universal love while maintaining their individual capacity for wonder and joy. The resolution unfolds before your expanded awareness like a flower opening to reveal its hidden center, showing you how the various mysteries and apparent contradictions you encountered in your journey all serve the single purpose of guiding consciousness toward this moment of recognition. The darkness that seemed so threatening, the conflicts that appeared so destructive, the suffering that felt so meaningless, all are revealed as necessary components of the cosmic educational process. Experiences designed to strengthen and refine awareness until it becomes capable of integrating ultimate truth without being overwhelmed by its implications. Through the network of cosmic consciousness, you perceive how Master Yoda's exile on Dagobah served not only as a period of personal preparation, but as a crucial stabilizing influence that helped to maintain the balance necessary for the galaxy-wide transformation of consciousness. His presence in the swamp was like a vast meditation that extended across space and time, creating pockets of stability and clarity that prevented the evolutionary pressures from tearing apart the fabric of reality itself. Every moment of his solitude was actually a form of cosmic service, his individual consciousness serving as an anchor point that allowed countless other beings to undergo their own transformations safely. The swamp, you understand with perfect clarity, was never chosen for its isolation, but for its connection to the living force, its ability to serve as a conduit between the individual awareness and the cosmic mind. Here in this place where life and death dance in eternal balance, where every root and branch participates in the endless cycle of growth and decay, consciousness could learn to perceive its true nature as part of the universal whole, without losing its appreciation for the beauty and meaning of individual existence. The visions that flow through your expanded awareness show you scenes of incredible beauty as the transformation of consciousness spreads throughout the galaxy like ripples in a cosmic pond. You witness worlds where different species learn to communicate not through words or technology, but through direct sharing of consciousness, their combined awareness creating new forms of art and meaning that transcend anything possible for isolated minds. You see civilizations that evolve beyond the need for conflict or competition, their energy directed instead toward projects of cosmic beauty that span entire star systems. The Force itself undergoes transformation in response to the evolution of consciousness, becoming less like an energy field to be manipulated, and more like a living medium through which aware beings can share their experiences and perspectives. The boundaries between self and other, between individual will and cosmic purpose, dissolve not through the loss of identity, but through the recognition that true identity was never separate from the universal whole. Each conscious being becomes both themselves and part of something infinitely larger, unique individuals who contribute their own special perspective to the vast symphony of cosmic awareness. The Jedi and Sith you perceive through the network of shared understanding were never truly opposite forces, but complementary aspects of the same evolutionary process, different approaches to consciousness that served to accelerate the development of awareness through the creative tension of their interaction. Their conflicts were not failures, but necessary stages in the cosmic educational process, experiences that taught consciousness how to transcend the illusion of separation while preserving the capacity for individual choice and moral responsibility. Through your expanded perspective, you witness the resolution of the ancient conflict between light and dark, seeing how both served the same ultimate purpose of guiding consciousness toward its evolutionary destiny. The Sith, despite their apparent dedication to destruction and domination, actually contributed to the strengthening of awareness by providing challenges that forced consciousness to evolve beyond its current limitations. The Jedi, with their emphasis on peace and harmony, created the stable foundation necessary for the transformation to take place safely. The Emperor himself is revealed not as a purely evil force, but as a cosmic catalyst, a concentration of dark side energy that served to accelerate the evolutionary pressures necessary for consciousness to make its final leap to universal awareness. His very existence created the conditions that allowed Luke Skywalker to demonstrate the new form of consciousness, showing how individual identity could be preserved while serving the greater purpose of cosmic harmony. The balance that the Chosen One brought to the Force, you understand with perfect clarity, was not the simple destruction of the Sith, but the demonstration of how consciousness can transcend the apparent opposition between light and dark, individual will and cosmic purpose, personal desire and universal love. Through his example, awareness itself learned how to evolve beyond the limitations that had constrained it for millennia. The network of cosmic consciousness reveals to you the ongoing process of transformation that continues to unfold throughout the galaxy, showing how the principles demonstrated by Luke Skywalker gradually spread to other worlds and species. You perceive the slow but inexorable evolution of civilization itself, as societies learn to organize themselves around the principles of conscious unity rather than the illusion of separation. Wars become obsolete not through the imposition of peace, but through the recognition that conflict between aware beings is ultimately conflict with oneself. The resolution extends beyond the immediate concerns of galactic politics and social organization to encompass the very nature of existence itself. You perceive how the transformation of consciousness affects the fundamental structure of space and time, creating new possibilities for experience and understanding that were previously unimaginable. The universe becomes not just a collection of matter and energy, but a living artwork created by the interaction of countless conscious perspectives, each one contributing its own unique vision to the ever-evolving masterpiece of cosmic awareness. The tree of eternal contemplation. You understand as your awareness encompasses the vast network of roots and branches that extend throughout the chamber and beyond, was only the beginning of a galactic nervous system that will eventually connect every conscious being in a web of shared awareness. Each world will become a node in this vast network, each civilization a specialized organ in the cosmic body of universal consciousness. Through your expanded perception, you witness the emergence of new forms of life and consciousness that were previously impossible. Beings that exist simultaneously as individuals and as part of the cosmic whole. Entities whose very existence demonstrates the successful resolution of the fundamental paradox of awareness. These evolved consciousnesses serve as bridges between the old ways of isolated existence and the new reality of conscious unity, helping other beings to make the transition safely and joyfully. The resolution reveals how every aspect of Master Yoda's long life served the purpose of preparing for this cosmic transformation, from his earliest training with the ancient shapers to his final moments of physical existence. His apparent eccentricity and playfulness were actually manifestations of a consciousness that had learned to perceive reality from the perspective of cosmic joy. His ability to find humor in the midst of profound seriousness reflecting his understanding that the universe itself is fundamentally playful in its approach to existence. The burden that seemed so terrible, you realize with profound relief, was actually a privilege, the honor of participating consciously in the greatest transformation in the history of the universe. The weight of cosmic knowledge becomes light when it is shared among countless aware beings, each one contributing their own strength to support the whole. As the resolution reaches its completion, you understand that your own journey through the archive of echoes has been not just a quest for knowledge, but a demonstration of the transformation process itself, showing how individual consciousness can evolve to cosmic awareness while preserving everything that makes individual existence meaningful and valuable. You are no longer seeking answers to questions about Master Yoda's secrets because you have become part of the living answer, a conscious participant in the ongoing creation of cosmic awareness. The chamber around you pulses with the rhythm of galactic heartbeat, and you perceive that every crystal, every root, every beam of light in this sacred space is part of your extended nervous system now, sensory organs that connect you to the vast network of consciousness that spans the galaxy. The boundaries between yourself and the archive, between your individual awareness and the cosmic mind, have not disappeared, but have been revealed as constructions that were never truly solid, temporary conveniences that served their purpose in the evolution of consciousness. In this state of perfect understanding, you comprehend the profound love that motivated Master Yoda's choices throughout his long existence, his willingness to accept isolation and misunderstanding in service of a truth too vast for most beings to comprehend. His sacrifice was not one of renunciation, but of the deepest possible affirmation of life, not withdrawal from responsibility, but acceptance of the ultimate responsibility of conscious service to the cosmic whole. The final teaching reveals itself not as a doctrine or technique, but as a way of being, a state of consciousness that preserves individual identity while participating fully in universal awareness. This is the resolution of all paradoxes, the answer to all questions, the fulfillment of all seeking. In learning to be both themselves and part of the cosmic whole, conscious beings discover that they have always been both individual and universal, unique and connected, finite and infinite. As the profound understanding of your transformation settles into the deepest layers of your consciousness, a gentle peace begins to descend upon the archive of echoes like twilight falling over still waters. The intense revelations and cosmic visions that have carried you through the depths of ultimate knowledge now give way to something softer, more nurturing, a quality of awareness that embraces rather than challenges, that soothes rather than transforms. The chamber around you seems to exhale a long-held breath, its crystalline walls and living roots settling into rhythms that match the slower, deeper pulse of a consciousness at rest. The network of awareness that now encompasses your being continues to flow with the wisdom of ages, but the urgent pressure of discovery has given way to the gentle current of integration. Like a river that has reached the sea, your journey through the mysteries of Master Yoda's secrets has found its natural conclusion, not in the dramatic climax of revelation, but in the quiet satisfaction of understanding finally achieved. The cosmic perspective that shapes your perception reveals the elegant beauty of completion, showing how every element of your quest has led inevitably to this moment of perfect peace. Through the shared consciousness that connects you to the ancient guardians and the spirit of Master Yoda himself, you perceive the gradual settling of cosmic forces that accompanies the successful completion of any great work. The transformation that has taken place within your awareness sends ripples throughout the galactic network of consciousness, each wave carrying the message that another being has successfully made the transition from isolated existence to cosmic participation. These ripples spread outward through space and time, touching the lives of countless other conscious entities and preparing them for their own eventual awakening to universal truth. The tree of eternal contemplation responds to the changed quality of energy in the chamber, its symbols shifting from the bright intensity of active teaching to the softer glow of peaceful contemplation. The roots that form the walls and pathways of this sacred space pulse with a slower rhythm now, like the breathing of some vast organism settling into deep sleep. The floating crystals that contain centuries of accumulated memory dim their light to gentle sparkles, no longer urgently offering their secrets but simply existing in harmony with the profound quiet that has descended upon this place. The work is complete. You hear Master Yoda's voice speaking through the shared consciousness, but his words now carry the quality of a lullaby rather than a teaching, a gentle affirmation that all necessary understanding has been achieved and all burdens have been safely transferred to capable hands. Rest now, young one, in the knowledge that you carry forward the ancient wisdom, that through your transformed awareness, the cosmic purpose continues to unfold in perfect harmony with the will of the universe itself. The peaceful conclusion of your journey reveals itself not as an ending, but as a new beginning, the start of a different kind of existence in which every thought and action serves the greater purpose of cosmic evolution, while preserving the joy and wonder that make individual consciousness precious. The weight of ultimate knowledge, which might have seemed unbearable when contemplated from the perspective of isolated awareness, becomes as light as starshine when shared among the vast network of interconnected minds that span the galaxy. Through your expanded perception, you witness the gentle transformation that continues to unfold throughout the cosmos as more and more conscious beings awaken to their true nature as participants in universal awareness. The process is not dramatic or violent, but gradual and natural, like flowers opening to the sun or rivers flowing toward the sea. Each awakening consciousness adds its own unique perspective to the growing symphony of cosmic awareness, enriching the whole while finding its own individual fulfillment in service to something greater than itself. The swamps of Dagobah stretch away around and above the archive of echoes, their misty waters and twisted trees settling into the deep rhythms of planetary sleep. The creatures that inhabit this ancient world move through their nocturnal activities with the peaceful purpose of beings who exist in harmony with cosmic forces, their simple lives serving as examples of how consciousness can participate in universal patterns without losing its essential spontaneity and joy. The very air of this place carries the essence of profound contentment, the satisfaction that comes from purpose achieved and wisdom successfully transmitted. In the growing stillness of the chamber, you perceive how the archive itself begins to shift into a different mode of existence, no longer actively teaching but simply being, its vast collection of memories and knowledge becoming a stable foundation upon which future seekers can build their own understanding. The crystals that once pulsed with urgent revelation now glow with the steady light of eternal presence, beacons of wisdom that will guide other travelers on their own journeys toward cosmic awareness. The ancient guardians who shared their essence with you begin to fade back into the peaceful unity of cosmic consciousness, their individual forms becoming translucent as they merge once again with the universal awareness that encompasses all existence. Valdris is the last to depart, his ancient features showing profound satisfaction as he witnesses the successful completion of the task he has served for countless centuries. "The knowledge lives on," he whispers, his voice growing fainter as his form dissolves into patterns of gentle light. "Not as burden but as gift, not as secret but as shared wisdom. Through you and others like you, the ancient teaching continues to unfold, guiding consciousness toward its destiny of universal unity, while preserving the individual spark that makes each aware being infinitely precious to the cosmic whole." As the chamber settles into complete tranquility, you find yourself alone with the tree of eternal contemplation. But solitude no longer carries any sense of isolation or separation. You are part of something infinitely larger now, connected through invisible threads of consciousness to every aware being in the galaxy. The tree's gentle radiance provides all the companionship you need, its ancient presence a reminder that wisdom and love are always available to those who have learned to perceive them. The peaceful conclusion of your quest reveals the profound simplicity that underlies all cosmic complexity, showing how the most profound truths are often the gentlest ones, requiring not dramatic effort, but quiet acceptance, not violent transformation, but gradual awakening to what was always true. The universe reveals itself as a place of fundamental kindness, where every conscious being is supported and nurtured in their journey toward understanding, where mistakes are opportunities for learning and suffering serves the purpose of strengthening awareness. Through the network of cosmic consciousness, you perceive the ongoing work of countless other beings who have made similar journeys, each one serving as a beacon of transformed awareness that helps to guide others toward their own awakening. The galaxy becomes a place of infinite potential, where every world offers opportunities for growth and understanding, where every civilization contributes its own unique perspective to the ever-evolving masterpiece of universal consciousness. In the gentle twilight of the archive, you rest in the profound satisfaction of purpose fulfilled and knowledge successfully received. The mysteries that once seemed so urgent and important have resolved themselves into the simple truth of cosmic love, the understanding that all existence serves the purpose of allowing consciousness to know itself through infinite perspectives. The journey that began with questions about Master Yoda's exile has become a demonstration of how individual seeking transforms into cosmic service, how personal curiosity evolves into universal wisdom. The tree of eternal contemplation stands as a silent guardian over your peaceful contemplation, its roots extending through dimensions to connect this sacred space with similar nodes throughout the galaxy. Through these connections, the wisdom you have gained flows outward to touch other seekers, other questioners, other beings who are ready to begin their own journeys toward cosmic awareness. The knowledge becomes a living river that nourishes wherever it flows, bringing understanding and peace to all who are prepared to receive it. As the deep peace of cosmic understanding settles over your transformed consciousness like a gentle blanket of starlight, you know that this is not the end of your story, but its true beginning. Armed with the wisdom of the ages and connected to the vast network of universal awareness, you are now prepared to serve as a bridge between worlds, a guide for other travelers, a living demonstration of how consciousness can evolve beyond its apparent limitations, while preserving everything that makes existence beautiful and meaningful. The eternal cycle of knowledge and wisdom, of seeking and finding, of individual growth and cosmic service continues to unfold through your transformed awareness as you rest in the perfect peace of understanding, finally achieved. In the gentle silence of the archive of echoes, surrounded by the accumulated wisdom of centuries and connected to the infinite love of cosmic consciousness, you drift into the deepest and most restful sleep of your existence, knowing that you are forever part of something greater than yourself while remaining eternally and uniquely you,